Welcome to the Jehovih Chronicles with your host, Cosmon Cow. Welcome to the Jehovih Chronicles with your host, Cosmon Cow.
Oh yeah, you're now rocking with the best. It's your hostess with the most is. On fire like toast is. Cosmonian. Checking back in from the Ethereum heavens, man. Hopped up out the Otavan, man, and I'm going to hit y'all with this. We're going to get directly into this. This is Jehovah Chronicles number 123. The Osiris Gobekli Tepe connection. All right? This type of info is only being dropped. Sponsored by the good folks at the Creator Gang. First things, man, shout out to the ever-present Creator, the all that is, was, and ever shall be, the great Heavenly Father, the Most High, Shout out to the Essenes, Nazarenes, and the faith that's all around the world, Israelites all around the world. Shout out to the Creator Gang. Y'all already know, you dig what I'm talking about. All good things come from faithist. I ain't gonna hold you no longer. Let's go, Cosmo.
What if I told you that hidden in the ancient plains of Turkey lies a structure older than the pyramids of Egypt and Stonehenge, challenging our very understanding of human history? Built over 12,000 years ago, Göbekli Tepe reveals secrets that could change everything we know about human civilization. But who built it and why? Imagine a place where nomadic people, without the aid of metal tools or animal power, erected a complex that defies explanation. Today, we will embark on a journey back in time, into the deep mysteries of Göbekli Tepe, where every carving and geometric pattern hints at a connection to the stars and a lost civilization. What secrets does Göbekli Tepe hide? What was the purpose of its construction? What do the latest archaeological discoveries reveal about the people who built it? And is there hidden knowledge locked in its stones, waiting to be discovered? We will find out together in a new episode of Secret Origins. Welcome.
Are you sick of having issues with your webinars? Wasting tons of time on troubleshooting with attendees?
Sorry about that.
Göbekli Tepe is a Neolithic archaeological site in southeastern Anatolia, Turkey. It is known for its large circular structures containing massive stone pillars, identified as the world's oldest known.
Before we go any further, hit that like button, share this on your live streams. You dig what I'm talking about? Share this to your family and friends. Go over there, hit that button, sub, like, share the Cosmon Cal TV, man. Hit the cash app, show some love to your boy, and let's get it crack-a-lacking.
Megaliths. Many of these pillars are adorned with anthropomorphic details and sculptural reliefs of wild animals, providing archaeologists rare opportunities to study the prehistoric religion and iconography of the period. The structures vary in size, ranging from 9 to 30 meters in diameter. So far, only 4 of these circular enclosures have been discovered, but geophysical studies suggest that there could be at least 16 more, each containing up to 8 T-shaped stone pillars. This implies that the entire Göbekli Tepe complex may contain a total of around 200 such pillars. The intriguing aspect of these structures is their uniform design. Each circle contains 2 large T-shaped pillars at the center, facing each other. These pillars, carved from local limestone, were quarried approximately 100 meters from the construction site and then transported to their final positions. The question of whether these structures were roofed remains speculative, but the presence of plaster remnants on the walls supports this hypothesis. Studies of the reliefs and other elements on the pillars suggest that they were like.
I want to go back a little bit. See this? I want to show y'all this right here. Hold on 1 second. See this? Right here? What they found out is these pillars were not carved and taken from anywhere. They were literally carved and relief put on. See the little animal right here? Right? We're going to look at that a little later. But they found out through further study that these reliefs are carved directly from the bedrock. They didn't even move these ones. Now, the ones in the center were moved, but the ones along the edges were carved directly from the bedrock that was already there. This 12,000 years ago, y'all. Let that sink in.
Studies of the reliefs and other elements on the pillars suggest that they were likely covered with roofs.
The carbon dating in all the area around Göbekli Tepe is somewhere around 12,000 years. Is that correct?
11,600.
Göbekli Tepe is believed to have been inhabited from around 9,500 to at least 8,000 BC during the pre-pottery Neolithic period. The site was first discovered in the 1960s, but its true significance was not initially realized. It was thought to be a Byzantine graveyard under the hill. Interest in the site only arose after a local shepherd unearthed one of the columns in 1994, revealing a relief depicting a strange animal. This piqued the interest of German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt from the German Archaeological Institute, who had previously been researching the Neolithic settlement of Novala Chori and decided to investigate the hill. Excavations began in 1995, and since then they have continuously received funding to explore the site to this day. Early in the archaeological research, it became clear that the artifacts belonged to an object dating from the Stone Age. The archaeologist devoted a significant part of his professional experience to searching for the hidden pieces of history beneath the surface of Göbekli Tepe. Despite facing numerous opponents to his theories, he documented all his findings. Shortly after completing his last work in 2014, he passed away. He was the first to open a door to the past, dating back more than 10,000 years, uncovering mysterious underground chambers hidden deep within the hill. Instead of finding remains of objects that tell about the life of our ancestors, the research at Göbekli Tepe reveals that there are no fireplaces, furnaces, or any traces of domestic life, making it unsuitable for permanent habitation. In contrast to the site of Novala Chori, which at least in its later phases was home to early sedentary farmers.
And he said basically 50 times as much as they've already excavated is still under the ground, that there's hundreds and hundreds of giant stone pillars that they've identified with ground-penetrating radar.
Göbekli Tepe was more of a mystical place than a home. According to Schmidt, Göbekli Tepe was a spiritual center for rich nomadic people, reminiscent of our Paleolithic ancestors. Paradoxically, the highest levels of Göbekli Tepe reveal some of the largest and most impressive monolithic pillars and animal carvings, defying all logic. Over time, the monoliths seem to shrink and become more modest, as if instead of being the beginning of everything, Göbekli Tepe appears as the end of a long mythological
see everything from miles away with this powerful U.S. Special Forces device. This new military monocular
tradition, stretching back in time, far before the Ice Age. In the mysterious depths of Göbekli Tepe, where there are no traces of established agriculture, lies a place that seems entirely devoted to ceremonies. Underground excavations reveal dwellings built not by early Neolithic farmers, but by hunter-gatherers who lived in harmony with the wild nature. The site carries the same sacred aura as Delphi in Greece or Cusco in Peru.
I want you to notice they all got this
into the deep life of our ancestors.
They all got this idea that the further you go back, right, the dumber the people must be. Don't y'all believe that? Cosmon's showing you, they trying to tell you that these people carved all this stuff and did all this without no tools. They used other rocks and banged out all this magnificent work 12,000 years ago. Huh? You believe that? You crazy and chicken little. Don't you believe these people's dumb? Don't never let nobody tell you your ancestors was stupid or slow or none of that. Look what your ancestors was doing. They still can't even understand these places. Astrological alignment staring them in their faces everywhere, and they still don't see it.
Pieces of domestic life, making it unsuitable for permanent habitation. in contrast to the site of Navala Churi, which at least in its later phases was home to early sedentary farmers.
And he said basically 50 times as much as they've already excavated is still under the ground, that there's hundreds and hundreds of giant stone pillars that they've identified with ground penetrating radar.
Göbekli Tepe was more of a mystical place than a home. According to Schmidt, Göbekli Tepe was a spiritual center for rich nomadic people, reminiscent of our Paleolithic ancestors. Paradoxically, the highest levels of Göbekli Tepe reveal some of the largest and most impressive monolithic pillars and animal carvings, defying all logic. Over time, the monoliths seem to shrink and become more modest, as if instead of being the beginning of everything, Göbekli Tepe appears as the end of a long mythological tradition, stretching back in time, far before the Ice Age. In the mysterious depths of Göbekli Tepe, where there are no traces of established agriculture, lies a place that seems entirely devoted to ceremonies. Underground excavations reveal dwellings built not by early Neolithic farmers, but by hunter-gatherers who lived in harmony with the wild nature. The site carries the same sacred aura as Delphi in Greece or Cusco in Peru, mystical centers of the earth, where believers arrive from distant lands to participate in festival celebrations, raising magnificent monuments in honor of the ancient gods and ancestors. At first glance, especially during the summer, Göbekli Tepe appears to be an inhospitable place with no apparent source of water. It is possible that the large stone rings at the site served as cisterns for rainwater. From the top of the hill, springs can be seen scattered around, like those in nearby Balik. Perhaps even more existed in antiquity, but they have long since dried up. According to the archaeologist Schmidt, the construction of each such circle would have required at least 500 people, and its raising should have been within the framework of a single event, lasting weeks or months, carried out without the help of animal power or metal tools. The excavations at Göbekli Tepe also reveal a rich collection of animal remains: cattle, pigs, goats, and an abundance of gazelles.
Now, you got cattle, you got pigs, you got goats, and then they try to turn around and tell you that these people didn't have no help of domesticated animals. Did y'all hear that? Y'all got to pay attention. They'll tell a lie and then try to clear it up. And oh, they didn't have any domestic animal help, but you had cows. Guess what? If you had cows, you had bulls. Man, don't let these people trick you.
All of them, after thorough research by wild experts, have been identified as wild, with a different bone structure from their domestic counterparts. The same fate befalls the plant remains, wild almonds, pistachios, and grains, which still thrive in the region to this day.
We thought hunter-gatherers could not do something like this because to do that, you need a large population with a division of labor.
In the late 90s, the thought
See, we thought that they couldn't do it because we thought they were stupid. You thought wrong.
emerged that Göbekli Tepe was the site where, for the first time, hunter-gatherers began experimenting with agriculture. Excavations have shown that Göbekli Tepe was built and inhabited during the earliest part of the Neolithic in Southwest Asia, marking the appearance of the world's oldest permanent human settlement. This period, known as the Neolithic Revolution, is associated with the beginning of agriculture, but archaeologists are divided on whether agriculture was the reason people settled in one place or vice versa. This idea is supported by the discovered sickle blades and early forms of wild wheat. One of the first theories suggests that the controlled use of grain foods was a reaction to the depletion of local resources by increasingly large groups of people gathering for long periods. In his book, After the Ice Age,
See, they're not gonna find none of that weaponry or none of that the material that you would find in the everyday life there. Remember, these are the observatories of the gods. Huh? We're going to show you that. We're going to show you the connection between Göbekli Tepe and Osiris. And then we're going to clear up that whole Osiris in Egypt. We ain't talking about that guy, especially if we're talking 12,000 years ago with Göbekli Tepe. Well, then who you talking about, Cosmon? But let's keep going. a little bit further.
Stephen Mithun describes adepts ritually exchanging seeds during ancient ceremonies before spreading important messages and stories. From other places around the world, such as Stonehenge, we know that stone circles and megaliths are powerful symbols of change that echo through the centuries, providing us with the opportunity to peek into the deep history of humanity. The circles, with their precisely oriented megaliths, are often associated with astronomical observations and rituals, demonstrating the ancient knowledge of the stars and seasons.
But see, they don't want to apply that to Göbekli Tepe, because that would hint towards there's a society even more higher raised than you are, more higher raised than Sumer, more high raised than even Egypt, doing it 6,000 plus years before there was an Egypt. Let that sink in a second.
Their strict design and execution suggest the advanced engineering and mathematical skills of our ancestors. Walking in the footsteps to unravel the mystery of Göbekli Tepe, undoubtedly one of the most interesting sources of information are the locals. For the inhabitants of these ancient lands, the hill has been a symbol of tradition and cultural heritage. The Kurdish communities, residing in the area for generations, have tended to a sacred tree on one of the hills, which lies at the heart of their spring rituals. During the spring equinox, locals decorated the branches with cloths, each symbolizing their wishes for the future.
Tired of weak and boring lighters? Meet this new incredible fire torch lighter. This new incredible
Over time, this sacred land garnered archaeological interest, resulting in the restriction of centuries-old traditions and customs. The excavations at the site led to the loss of the original tree, a symbol of these rituals. In response, the Kurdish community, known for its resilience and adaptability, planted a new tree in the same place to continue the tradition. Despite the new restrictions, they continue to honor the site and perform their rituals, albeit in a more limited scope. Remarkably, during these rituals, residents use stone pottery from Göbekli Tepe, dating back about 12,000 years, making it one of the oldest archaeological sites known to date. This idea that Göbekli Tepe has been a part of the locals' life and culture for centuries, while for the rest of the world it is a relatively recent discovery, sparks great excitement. But what do we know about the people who lived and worked at Göbekli Tepe? Skeletal remains of human bodies are exceedingly rare, comprising only a few hundred bone fragments, of which 2/3 are skull fragments. Few of them show signs of decapitation and defleshing, and alarmingly, 3 of them have drilled holes, perhaps to be hung or mounted on a pole. The possibility of permanent habitation at Göbekli Tepe has long been a subject of debate and speculation among scholars, and the human skeletal remains found add more mystery to this ancient and enigmatic place. This is a small window into those ancient times, where the remains may represent the revered remains of beloved ancestors. This may be related to the so-called skull cult, which continued in the Levant for thousands of years and even predates Göbekli Tepe. The rituals in nearby Kianu also should not be overlooked. There, on a bloody altar, ritualistic human sacrifices may have been performed, potentially shedding light on the darker side of the Göbekli Tepe phenomenon, although direct irrefutable evidence of the connection between the sites and their history has yet to be found.
The notion that a group of hunter-gatherers wake up one morning and invent
That is a great question. How do they drill the holes, Cal? Yeah, especially when you're trying to tell me that they don't even have the material to do it, and yet here it is. But now to drill a hole with that type of preciseness, it must have a drill, and then it must be moving at a high rate of speed to be this smooth. Hold on, watch this. Let's go back a little bit. Let me see what we got up in here. Let me see some of these holes real quick. Look. Y'all see that? See them holes? Them ain't no I just chipped away with a rock and a stick. No, this is made by a drill. And look at the multiple sizes. These are different drills, or at least the drill being used. This one is a different drill bit. These two look the same. This looks more like brain surgery than it does admiration or skull praise or skull cult. You dig what I'm talking about? People, those who are always spiritually off, always try to make it cultish, or you know what I mean? Just because they don't understand it, they try to spookify it. And then this don't make sense to have the holes here, because you would want if you gonna have this as a pendant or something you could wear, you would want the holes to sit properly on top of the skull. So why would you put them up here where they cockeyed and not even, at the right angle, if you was gonna make this something to be praised? Or maybe as a talisman or something. If you was gonna do that, it would be, lined up perfectly, especially if you had drills and tools to do it, unless this was the place you had a problem in your skull with. And at that time, one of the remedies that they used to use was drilling into your skull. Just like in the late 1800s, they used lobotomy for all types of mental illnesses, stuff that they treat with drugs today. They would literally dig in your skull, you know what I mean, and drill around till they got the proper result without killing you. So let's not act like this is just so far-fetched. But how do you have drilled holes? These are clearly drilled holes. Ain't nobody making this up. You know what I mean? Hold on, let's go back a little bit.
Rare, comprising only a few hundred bone fragments, of which 2/3 are skull fragments. Few of them show signs of decapitation and defleshing, and alarmingly, 3 of
Look, and then they hit you with a quick little blur real quick, like, bro, you must have can tell that's a drill hole right there. But you already hit right here. We can clearly see that. You dig what I'm talking about? We can clearly see that. We're gonna get into my presentation though in a little bit. We're gonna let this rock for a minute. We're gonna get into my presentation, the observation, the observatories of the gods. You dig what I'm talking about? We're gonna get into this and start explaining some of this stuff. Peace to all the righteous gods and Nirvanian goddesses, man. Let's go ahead and let this play a little bit.
them have drilled holes, perhaps to be hung or mounted on a pole. The possibility of permanent habitation at Göbekli Tepe has long been a subject of debate and
Let's scoot
speculation.
it up a little bit.
Built during the dawn of agriculture, emphasizing that the discoveries made there are currently the oldest known. And speaking of the oldest, let's go back to the book thought to describe our history from the first day of creation, namely the Bible. The origin of our civilization is presumably from an earthly paradise, which, accepting Jewish legends as part of the puzzle of our existence, is a place located on Earth, specifically in the region of Eastern Anatolia, where we also find the oldest remains of our ancestors. 2 of the 4 rivers emanating from the paradise are easily identified as the Euphrates and Tigris, both of which originate in the region of Eastern Anatolia. The other 2 rivers are more disputed, but one of them is likely the Aras River, which flows east from the same region of Eastern Anatolia towards the Caspian Sea, and the best evidence for the 4th river points to the Arcus River, which flows from Eastern Anatolia and merges with the Tigris in Iraq. All 4 are within about 5,000 miles, which, in perspective, is a relatively short distance. Now, turning to recent discoveries, we can identify the same region as the cradle of civilization. Around 9000 BC, a period scientists refer to as the Neolithic Revolution, marked a turning point in climate, agricultural practices, and various other aspects, ultimately leading to the rise of civilization. And we assume that this beginning for humanity is enclosed between the covers of a sacred book that simultaneously raises numerous questions while providing explanations. But what more can we understand from the artifacts left by these ancient people? What did they believe in? What was their culture like? Did they have a connection with another civilization? To answer these questions, we turn to the artifacts found at the site, hoping to glean more insights. Among the more common motifs depicted in Göbekli Tepe is the snake, often associated by cultures worldwide with the underworld. In the late 80s, one of the most memorable finds at Nevala Chori was the so-called snake bearer, a statue larger than human height with a venomous lizard bursting from the bald head's back. In nearby Karahan Tepe, many similar snake images have been found, carved on stone vessels, as well as scorpions, another animal associated with the realm of the dead. On the stones of Göbekli Tepe, many ideograms and symbols have been found, which are still not deciphered, but are assumed to have meaning and significance. The exploration of the mystery surrounding Göbekli Tepe continues to this day.
I think we're actually at the beginning of opening up this inquiry, not at the end of it.
Archaeologists, driven by curiosity about the past, discovered a series of new findings in 2023, which add new layers to the already rich history of this ancient site. The already discovered images, carved into the stone structures of Göbekli Tepe, are joined by human and animal statues, which present a significantly broader picture of the cultural and religious practices of these ancient communities. Among them, the most impressive is the painted statue of a wild boar, which shows refined artistic skills and perhaps religious significance. These artifacts not only demonstrate a high level of craftsmanship, but also suggest a complex social structure and spiritual hierarchy. Professor Harald Hauptmann, a German prehistoric archaeologist, suggests that the images from Göbekli Tepe have a shamanistic basis. The wild boar, bull, fox, lion, gazelle, birds, and snakes are animal symbols whose particular abilities were of interest to Neolithic shamans, either to master or oppose them. The discovered geometric pattern in the arrangement of the stone circles provides us an idea of the complex symbolism that was part of their cultural and religious traditions. These patterns, perhaps reflecting astronomical knowledge, underline the importance of Göbekli Tepe as a center for cultural and likely ceremonial events. Recent excavations at Göbekli Tepe and nearby Karahan Tepe reveal that this region was culturally and religiously significant to ancient communities. The new discoveries not only highlight the importance of the entire region as a key center during the Neolithic, leaving deep marks in human history. The same theory suggests that the construction of Göbekli Tepe was a way for people to cope with the fear of
I want y'all to hear this
smaller
part.
and simpler. During the construction of Göbekli Tepe, coinciding with the so-called Neolithic Revolution, for the first time in human history, agriculture, domestic animal husbandry, metallurgy, and even the first beer and wine appeared. Collins emphasizes that this
We want also pay attention, right? Pay attention to how they say this place just disappears, right? I always notice or pay attention to the end result of what a person says. If it's always death and destruction and calamity and all that stuff, you always take a second look. And it's not that something great hasn't happened or over time. It's just that it's not that every time. It's not a comet every time. You see what I'm saying? Don't let them pigeonhole you into one way of thinking. You know what I mean? Just being real.
Is not a coincidence, and that these events are closely related to Göbekli Tepe.
Is some sign of some sort of civilization.
Regarding theories of extraterrestrial influence, Collins does not believe that Göbekli Tepe was a landing site for aliens. However, contrary to his theory, the area is marked by numerous UFO sightings. The images on the stones are unusual and unique, also suggesting contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. The pyramidal tops of Göbekli Tepe depict various animals and birds, some of which are dangerous and aggressive, possibly reflecting the hunter's mentality. Even for researchers, it is perplexing why this site was built and what its purpose was, especially considering that similar stone structures have not been found anywhere else in the world except at Göbekli Tepe. According to findings, many doubt that this site could have been built by hunter-gatherers and suggest the presence of an advanced civilization. Göbekli Tepe is considered the world's first monumental architecture, exceptionally technologically advanced for its time. Naturally, this raises the question, could Göbekli Tepe be part of a lost civilization? Researcher Collins suggests that the people who created Göbekli Tepe came from the north, passing through the Caucasus Mountains and the Russian steppe. There is a theory that the construction of Göbekli Tepe may be related to the catastrophic event of a comet impact around 10,800 BC, known as the Younger Dryas.
Now, this is where you got to put your thinking cap on, because they just told you something, that a catastrophic event of a comet impact around 10,800, we're going to find out it's exactly the year 10,953 BC. Owaspy Code. But Owaspy says that, and actually, if you read the walls of Göbekli Tepe, it actually says, yeah, a comet came, but it doesn't say it exploded or impacted. Remember, they went to live on after. They wrote about the comet after. Right? So if you know the comet event was in 10,800 BC, well, then it's in 9,600 BC, we see it carved into a wall. Now, they show the event, but they show the comet. They don't say it was an impact. And guess what? Owaspy don't say it was an impact either. Owaspy say a comet, the tail of a comet, and its material got drawn into our atmosphere, and that material rained onto the planet, hence darkened light out, dropping temperatures, hence Younger Dryas, starting in 10,953 BC, even older than what they think it is. How do we know that? So Owaspy tell you 600 years before the time of Osiris, right? In the Ark of Thor, right? That the tail of a comet was dragged into the atmosphere of the earth, and it rained onto the planet and darkened the skies out and caused the quaternary extinction event that we call today the Younger Dryas. But they just told you it happened. But if Cosmon didn't clear that up, that No, this didn't happen. The comet came, proving what Owaspy said. But the whole impact part, you can't prove. Now, why they want to say that it was an impact is because they see the result of the temperature dropping. But now you got truth and understanding on that. It is the material from the tail of a comet being rained onto the planet, literally blocking the sky out. It did this for hundreds of years. You'd have wished it impacted the earth. Beyond what it did, it froze the earth for 1,000 years. It dropped the temperatures, blocked the skies out. It was ugly. We instantly went into a glacial maximum, hence younger dryas. But we got to come clear this stuff up, man. Everything ain't spooky. They want to say, they understand that the calamity happened, but you can't add nothing extra on to it. Because what they won't tell you or show you is, where did that comet land in? That had to have an impact so great. That had to have an impact crater. Where is it? You couldn't miss it. But they'll tell you an impact happened. They won't show you one.
This event led to massive fires, a nuclear winter, and a mini ice age, leaving deep marks in human history. The same theory suggests that the construction of Göbekli Tepe was a way for people to cope with the fear of a recurrence of a similar disaster, termed catastrophobia by the writer Barbara Clow. Shamans played a crucial role in this process, offering rituals and practices to protect against the looming threat. Over time, as more catastrophes did not occur, the significance of Göbekli Tepe diminished. Göbekli Tepe and the artifacts found by archaeologists are associated with the heavenly world and are believed to have had a special significance as a portal between the physical world and other dimensions. It connects Göbekli Tepe with other ancient sites and figures, such as the Swiss writer Erich von Däniken and the ancient text.
Download the Kroger app and enjoy over $500 in savings every week with digital coupons.
Sorry about the commercials, y'all.
The Apocryphon of Abraham, in which Abraham talks about encountering beings not of this world. Erich von Däniken believes in extraterrestrial presence at that time, emphasizing the global significance of the site. Based on the theory that the site was inhabited by a lost civilization, the builders of Göbekli Tepe supposedly used the monument as portals or stargates to connect with celestial gods or beings. Entering an altered state of consciousness, it is pointed out that all these twin monoliths were oriented towards a specific star in the sky, Deneb, the brightest star in the constellation Cygnus. This star was important to ancient people, as shown by many ancient monuments around the world directed towards it. The ancients believed that the souls of the deceased could ascend to the heavens through the star Deneb. Another star also figures in the theories and could be related to the mysterious Göbekli Tepe, the star Tabi, officially known as KIC 8462852, with its unusual and difficult to explain light activity and behavior, is also linked to technologies of extraterrestrial civilizations. The hypothesis, put forward by astronomer Jason Wright and several others, suggests that Tabi is linked to a Dyson sphere, a hypothetical megastructure built by extraterrestrial civilizations to capture and use the energy of their star. Experiments have also been conducted for meditative communication with Tabi's star. It's worth noting that on the day of the experiment, a dimming of the star was observed. While some may consider it a coincidence, it is speculated that this might have been a result of the attempt. The influence of human consciousness on cosmic objects and the possibility of feedback between the observer and the observed are increasingly intriguing us. But are we learning something new, or rather remembering something already learned, which the ancient people knew and used? It is suggested that ancient monuments, not only in Göbekli Tepe, which are astronomically oriented, were created under the influence of extraterrestrials. This suggests that our ancestors used mathematical models, possibly as a form of message or information. Equally likely and often theorized is that ancient people had knowledge of Pythagorean triangles and astronomy, which were lost over time, but which are important for understanding our past and future. Could it be that the ancient people knew something that we are only now discovering? Possible interaction with extraterrestrials or higher knowledge related to the stars? As beliefs and theories about Tabby Star continue to be the subject of scientific...
They definitely had higher knowledge related to the stars. But why we got to always take it outside of us? Huh? See, that's the trick. They always try to remove you out of the situation. You dig what I'm saying? And put some type of impediment in between you and the creator and creation itself. Right? But let me see if everybody can see this. Right? We're going to get into the observatories of the gods. Right? And the first astrological observatories built on Earth. Only a WASP telling you that in between this time and this time, these was built. And then we look in history and we find the very first ones being built in that time. And guess what? It's Göbekli Tepe. I can't even make it up this good. But let's get into this. This is the observatories of the gods, right? See, when we think about the stars and the earth and the vast dark interstellar reaches of space in between heavenly bodies, it comes as a shock to many that the ancient societies not only had their own cosmogony, but also had cosmological star charts and maps grading out and describing every single star in the sky. Even mapping stars unable to be seen with the naked eye, while applying the common truthism as above, so below into our cosmological studies. It reveals itself logical to some and yet astounding to many that the ancients not only mapped out the sky on charts and paper, but they literally copied the sky on the ground through massive geoglyphs, right? But today we will be bringing out the source and time and revelator of all cosmology and cosmogony on the planet, or hence science itself, period. We're going to go back to the source of this being locked down into the understanding of man. And this, my family and friends, is the connection between Osiris and Göbekli Tepe. The connection is in the stars. Watch this. But first, what is an astrological observatory, right? An astrological observatory, or any structure containing telescopes and auxiliary instruments with which to observe celestial objects. Observatories can be classified on the basis of the part of the electromagnetic spectrum in which they are designed to observe. The largest number of observatories are optical, or i.e., they are equipped to observe in and near the region of the spectrum of visible to the human eye. Some other observatories are instrumented to detect cosmic emitters of radio waves, while still others, called satellite observatories, are Earth satellites that carry special telescopes and detectors to study celestial sources of such forms of high energy radiation as gamma rays and X-rays from high above in the atmosphere. And this source is from Britannica. But before our common understanding and before excavations in 1994, it was assumed that Newgrange of Ireland was the oldest astrological observatory in the world. And this is Newgrange, the oldest observatory in the world, by Dick Alstrom of the Irish Times Science Correspondence, January 1989. And look at it. This thing is massive. It's a massive mounded structure in Eastern Ireland. Now, it says the Newgrange Passage Grave, what they call it, a passage grave company, Meath, constitutes the oldest known astronomical observatory in the world. Remind you, this is 1994. In 2024, we know that's not true. The oldest is Göbekli Tepe, right? But let's go back to see what they thought at the time, right? According to a researcher at the Dublin Institute for Advanced Studies in Dublin, the graves predate the much better known Stonehenge structures by 1,000 years. Now, mind you, this still, we're going to see the date. And their alignment with the what? The winter solstice sun is almost certainly not accidental, states Professor Tom Ray of the Institute. He dates the Newgrange site to 3150 BC. That's pre-Egypt. And this is in Eastern Ireland. You see how it's white like that? And then it's mounded with more earth on top. That material right there, that interested me, right? And now, this is a full millennium older than Stonehenge in Britain, but notice this is roughly 100 years before the founding of dynastic Egypt. Now, another interesting fact that I found out about Newgrange was that if you look at it, look, it's white, right? And then let me show y'all where it's at on the map. Let me blow this up just a little bit so y'all can see Newgrange a little bit. Now, this is a map of Ireland, right? You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 right here. Number 9 right here, that's Newgrange. So we in the eastern part of Ireland, right? All right, let me back up out of this. Right? So it becomes even more fascinating, right? This is this stuff right here. This is white quartz. All of that's white quartz, hard rock, white quartz. Right? That's, I had to figure out why is it white like that? Why is it gleaming? You know what I mean? So it becomes even more fascinating when it revealed that the type of white quartz, right, that was used in the construction of Newgrange Observatory, right, doesn't exist on Ireland. This stuff, which has been here since what? They say 3150 BC, don't exist on the island. I mean, of course, there's white quartz there. You know what I mean? But it's the type of white quartz that's there. Right? And look, this is from the book called Lithics, right? And this interested me. So I'm like, how did they get this structure here if you don't have the material even on your island? Watch this. Cosmon ain't making it up. These people were They were magnificent builders. You know what I mean? We gonna come and find that these people descend from that ancient elder stock. You know what I mean? That mound builder stock. And it's no mistake that they built how they did, right? This is from the book Lithics, the Journal of Lithic Studies, Society and Internet Archaeology. It says in Woodman's and Woodman and his homies and all this. In 2006 recent overview of quartz use in prehistoric stonecraft, they noted 8 sites with quartz and mentioned that it occurs at a number of other sites. But they suggest that although quartz is relatively common across Ireland as vein deposits, it is often poor-grained and has a sugary texture. Not like this. Not like this hard rock. That's right, quartz. That's moldable, hard quartz. Where'd you get it from? Right? And they keep wanting to tell you these people is slow. They retarded. They don't do nothing. But you can't build nothing they did. You can't tell nobody how nothing got done. But we're going to show something today then. See, they suggest that although quartz is relatively common across Ireland, it's there. Quartz is there. As vein deposits, it is often poor grained and has a sugary texture, like sugar. You can't build no buildings out of sugar, making it what? Unsuitable for flaking, chipping, building structures. And comment on the difficulties faced in the identifications or classifications of quartz artifacts. They make the distinction between the vein quartz and the rock crystal, which is what this is. But on Ireland, they have what? Vein quartz, right? They have vein deposits, which is poor grained and has a sugary texture, suggesting the latter was more used for frequently than more was used more frequently for stone tools. Of course, you can't work with the other one. Now, I wanted to show some of the more commonly known astrological observatories today, right? I'm gonna blow it up a little bit. Hopefully everybody can see it a little better. You know, let me see how this is looking. Right. And as I said, these are some of the more commonly known astrological observatories going back all the way to what they believe was the oldest observatory, 3150 with New Grange, right? We see these structures here. We got the first one in Beijing. This is Dongbao Bay, Hutan. Dongbao Bay, right? Created in 1227 CE Common Era. This is in Beijing, China, right? This is the Uleg Beg Observatory, right, in Samarkand, Uzbekistan, right? And it's been there since 1420. Since the 1420s. Right? Beijing, Uzbekistan. Right? This first one here, this is Chaco Canyon in New Mexico, right? Nageezi, New Mexico, circa 800 CE. I believe they're way older, but we ain't gonna argue with the professionals. You dig what I'm talking about? We ain't gonna do too much arguing, right? Maybe I could back out of it a little bit, right? This is Chaco Canyon in New Mexico, Nagizi. Now, funny, Giz is a word for the sun. Thought that was interesting. And it was built circa 800 of the Common Era, so they say. And this is El Caracal in Chichen Itza in Mexico. And then it is circa 1500 BC. Right? These are observatories to look at the stars. Right? Now I want y'all to take notice of the dates. The oldest one we done seen so far is in America, El Caracal, 1500 BC. Right? But we see the information is being passed down all through the world, from China to Uzbekistan to the Americas, North America, Mesoamerica, right? Then we see here the Ratkin Tower in Iran, circa 1200 CE, right, of the Common Era. And then, but we also see the Zoratskare in Scythian Armenia. This one is called the Armenian Stonehenge, right? And it dates to about 500 to 600 BC, right, in Armenia. That's this one right here. That's the Zoratskare. And then we got the Outer Hebrides, right, in Scotland. See if I can blow it up just a little bit. Maybe I can hit it once. Boom. The Outer Hebrides in Scotland, right here. These are called the Callanish stones, right? And they were built around 3000 BC. A lot going on over there in Ireland and Scotland around 3000 BC. This is in Goseck, Germany. This is called the Goseck Circle and dates to about 4900 or roughly a little over 7,000 years ago, just about 7,000 years ago, right? This is the Goseck Circle, right? This one right here. This is in Germany, right? But the key to this one is, even though it's roughly 7,000 years old, right? This is not an observatory. This is not an observatory. This is a calendar. Huh? This is a calendar, not an observatory. That's the difference. And then we got here in Northern Macedonia, the Kokino Observatory, circa 1800 BC. And this is also a calendar, not an observatory, but it's an ancient site dealing with astrological information, right? Now, this understanding of Newgrange being the oldest astrological observatory stood for roughly 5 years, right? And that was until 1994 when they found in Turkey Göbekli Tepe, the world's first temple, right? Let's get a look. Göbekli, back up a little bit. Right, this is the world's first temple, Göbekli Tepe. It says 6 miles from Urfa. Right? Can I be heard? Is everything good? Put your boy with a vortex in the chat. Let's keep moving, man. 6 miles from Urfa, ancient city in southeastern Turkey, Klaus Schmidt has made one of the most startling archaeological discoveries of our time. massive carved stones about 11,000 years old, you know, carved and arranged by prehistoric people who had not yet developed metal tools. How can they say that? Just because they weren't found there doesn't mean that they didn't have them. Remember, this is not a party place. This is not a place where you come and live. This is a place you come to learn. So no, you wouldn't find the wares of a a man who lays down concrete for a living in a library. No, you shouldn't even look for it. It'd be odd to see a guy laying down slabs of concrete in a library while the lady is trying to tell you, shh, be quiet. You wouldn't normally look for that. So and with the understanding of this being an astrological observatory for not only seeing the stars, but tracking the stars and the constellations, right? And the knowledge that it comes along with understanding the timetables of prophecy being revealed through the book of Earth, Sky, and Spirit today. You dig what I'm talking about? It says, there was a prehistoric people who not yet developed metal tools or even pottery. Now you did all this and you ain't made a bowl yet. You trying to get me to believe that. All right. Okay, the megaliths predate Stonehenge by some 6,000 years. The place is called Göbekli Tepe, and Schmidt, a German archaeologist who has been working here for more than a decade, is convinced it's the site of the world's oldest temple. This is part of Smithsonian, right? But what does Göbekli Tepe mean? Right? Name sound odd, but what does it mean? And why was the oldest known astrological observatory so important? Why is the oldest known astrological observatory so important in understanding the lesson being brought forth today? In the same vein of a picture painting 1,000 words, right? So can a name give 1,000 revelations. See, this is from the source of ancientorigins.net. It says Göbekli Tepe, archaeoastronomy, and the what? And the second heel of Osiris. Make it make sense, Cosma. The naming of places in the ancient world was a serious affair, particularly with regard to temples. A name enshrined the purpose for which the site was intended or reflected a truth about its history. Thus, understanding the real name of Göbekli Tepe offers the greatest clue as to why people of a forgotten era created a monument that is both out of place and out of time. It's ancient Armenian, right? And probably oldest name is Port Osar. Port Osar, right? Or the port, or you could say valley, or you could say dock, or hill of Osiris, right? Dig this. But this 6,000 years before there was an Osiris of Egypt. And yet they calling it what? Make it make sense, Cosmon. Let's go. It's ancient Armenian, right? and probably oldest name is Port Asar, and it breaks down into 2 syllables, right? Göbekli Tepe, aka Port Asar, breaks down into 2 syllables, which are port or navel or umbilical cord. Identifies the site as the navel of the earth, a seeding place. Listen, this is key. Göbekli Tepe is a what? A seeding place where the knowledge of the gods was what? First. We're going to show that this is true. First deposited. And by who? We're going to show you that it is Asar, aka Osiris, but not the false guy out of Egypt. Make it make sense, Cosmon. Let's keep going. Right? It's going to be, this is the place, Göbekli Tepe, or the umbilical cord, right? Signifies a seeding place where the knowledge was first deposited and where such epicenters exist throughout the world. Wisdom spread across the land like ripples, right? Touching the uncivilized and the brute and elevating the potential of all humankind. So the intention of what's going on at this place, it is a epicenter for knowledge, and where even ancient men knew that this was the place where the gods dropped high science first. Remember, we looking for high science. The highest science is high in the sky. Watch this. The second syllable, remember that's port, Asar, right? Port meaning navel or umbilical cord, right? The second syllable is Asar and is revelatory, for it is none other, look, than the original name of who? Osiris, right? I know your cognitive dissonance is kicking in right now. Y'all saying, Cosmon, how can he be the same Osiris who doesn't pop onto the scene to the building of the pyramids 2500 BC, and you talking about 9600 BC? How? They're 7,000 years apart, Cosmon. But we know Asar is the original name of Osiris. Huh? Who is the what? The primary Egyptian deity and lord of the underworld. It can be said then that this hill is the what? The umbilical cord of Osiris. Göbekli Tepe means what? So the literal meaning of the word, right? This is Göbekli Tepe. The literal meaning of the word Göbekli Tepe means umbilical cord of Osiris. But wait, how 12,000 years ago is the Osiris even mentioned when he objectively doesn't even step onto the scene before 2500 BC, Cosmon, and the building of the Great Pyramids? Nobody said nothing about Osiris before the pyramid text. And I'm giving you 2500. I'm gonna just say that they was there when it was built, right? But we don't actually see that to 2350. But I'm gonna give you 2500. It's still 7,000 years, right? When he objectively doesn't step onto the scene before 2500 BC in the building of the Great Pyramids, Osir is mentioned nowhere in the world before the pyramid text. Nowhere. So how is an Osiris, right, even mentioned 7,000 years before Osiris in Egypt even existed. Right? So let's remember, Göbekli Tepe, 9600 BC. And we got the pyramid text and the first mention of Osiris, circa 2500 BCE, right? That is a massive difference in time. So pay attention. Let me clear this up, right? The Osiris being mentioned or spoken about in the naming of Göbekli Tepe circa 12,000 years ago is simply not the Osiris of ancient Egypt. And the primary source, right? And the primary source for this information and this revelation is Owaspia. Warning! Warning! The following material may cause cognitive dissonance. Warning! The following material may cause cognitive dissonance. I gotta ask the question. Have you been duped into believing that the only Osir comes from Egypt? It's a revelation. If you don't know any other Osiris, that's proof you've been duped. Uh-oh. It's self-convicted, right? Now, when dealing with history, it's always important to be able to put things on a timeline, right? And this is just one of the differences between Owaspie and all other so-called spiritual texts. See, it allows you to put all things on a timeline, right? Hold on. Right? And then, hold on one second, y'all. And then compare and contrast. Right? You know, it allows you to compare and contrast and then compare that against the historical timeline to glean truth from. And in that department alone, Owaspie is unmatched. Right? So the question is, has your God taught you how to tell time? If not, why not? You know what I mean? This is called the timetables of prophecy. You know, my people is a visual people, so sometimes we got to write it out linearly, right? But all time is measured in arcs and all time is cyclical, right? It spirals. It's progressive and yet repetitive. It's like your father. But in Owaspie, it gives us a way to begin to measure time by 3,000 year, what are called arc cycles. What is all time measured in? Arcs. Revelation is that on average, every one of these is 3,000 years. Right? And so since the creation of mortals, or in Arc 1 called the Arc of Wayne or Wan, the Arc of Wan, right? We see the creation of mortals. Then we can go down, counting the arc cycles, down to the Arc of Nu, or the 10th arc cycle, or 30,000 years after the creation of mortals, right? And when he say mortals right here, man was already on the planet, but he was in his beastly nature 6,000 plus years before these people even got here, just to be clear, right? But 30,000 years or 10 arc cycles after the creation of Homo sapiens, right? Upright thinking man, right? The Ions, right? Who many call today the mound builder stock. The name of the mound builder is Ion. So if you claim in that stock, get used to it. Your heritage and culture, nationality is only in OWASP. You're an Algonquin, deal with it. 30,000 years after the creation of mortal, we see the first era of civilization called the Arc of Nu, the 10th arc cycle. Well, look right here. This is the 17th arc cycle. This is the time of the flood. What y'all call Noah's flood, the Ark of Noah and all that stuff. What happened was a flood was caused by the sinking of a continent called Pond. And look, just like the very first ark was called Wang, and the 10th ark is called Nu, the 17th ark after the creation of mortals is called Noah. Noah's ark, the ark of Noah. Get it? A flood happened during the time. See how smart your people was? The story is allegorical. So 51,000 years after the creation of man, a great flood happened during the space-time of the Ark of Noah, a 3,600 year span of time. We'll get into that. Now, we are today in the Ark of Cosmon, right? We are in the 100, coming into the 176th year of the Cosmon era, or what we would know as 2024, right? But what we gonna focus on today, right, is this 21st, right? See, this is roughly a 3,400 year period called the Arc of Bond, the 24th arc cycle. The 23rd arc cycle is a 2,400 year span of time called the Ark of Spita, was also misunderstood as the Ark of the Covenant. The Ark is not a box, it is time, just like the Ark of Noah is time. So it's the Ark of Covenant. So the covenant takes place during Spita, roughly 6,000 years ago, right? This is a 2,400 year span of time. This is a 3,100 year span of time. The 22nd arc cycle called the Arc of Lu. But we're going to pay attention to this one right here, the 21st, right? The brother Anki had asked about Osiris of Owaspi, right? Because he's one of the people that, warning, got duped because he believes that Osiris only comes from Egypt. And then he hit you with some pseudo stuff talking about his eumelanin, and eumelanin means perfect black. But then he tell you don't listen to the Greeks and the Romans because they stealing, but then turn around and go right into their literature to define his perfect black. We're going to pay attention to this 21st, right? Let me blow this up a little bit so everybody can see this. This is the timetable of prophecy that I just showed you here, right? See? Down here in the 25th arc cycle of Cosmon. You ever wonder why they call me Cosmon Cal? Because I'm Calvin of now. I am the balanced Cal. Yeah, that's what Cosmon mean. But look, when you break this down, this is what OWASP allows you to do. Now, remember that 21st arc cycle I showed you right here? We're going to look at that. We're going to focus on that. And we're going to see what's going on. Now, see, this is the 21st arc cycle after the creation of man, right? Remember the first one was called Juan. 17th is called Noah, right? The 25th is called Cosmon. We are in the 21st arc cycle after the creation of man, 63,000 years, right? Or 12,200 years before the Cosmon era, or 1848. Do the math. 12,200 years before 1848. You're going to land right here at 10,353 BC to 7,053 BC, a 3,300 year span of time called the Ark of Day. Right? The Ark of Day. The archangel, or the head God over earth at that time, right, was the Orion god Osiris. But look, during Osiris's time, we go into the 6th era, or to simplify that for people on the earth, the 6th major version of man on the planet in the last 63,000, or 63 to 69,000 years. He is the 6th version, right? We are commonly, remember where I told you, we in Cosmon today, right? We entered the 7th era already. So our whole people as a race is changing. That was the same thing going on during the 6th era, from 10,353 BC through 753 BC, a 3,300 year span of space-time. Space-time, right? Called the Ark of Day, right? An archangel, right? What are these called? Arc cycles. So the angel's title who rules over it in that arc is the archangel. Get it? His name is Osiris. 7,000 years before the fake nigga of Egypt. I'm going to just put it out there. I'm going to say, first of all, y'all don't know, the Osiris of Egypt name ain't really Osiris or Asar. Asar is from this guy, 7,000 years before. We proved that with the name of Göbekli Tepe being Port Osar, right? Meaning the navel of Osiris. This is 9,600 years before, or 7,000 years before there was an Osiris. So we obviously not talking about the guy in Egypt. We are talking about this guy. Son of the creator, Jehovih. He was an archangel named Osiris, holding a angelic title. See, there's people higher than God. As an Orion, he is higher than the stat, like this guy. See God, Neph, right? See the Orion chiefs, they're over him. They're higher versions of God. This is the base model. It's the base model. There are Etherian gods, Nirvanian gods, Orion gods, Etherian gods. God's so high. And then in there, you can have an Orion god, and he could be a chief Orion god. These are angelic ranks, right? So He ruled, Osiris ruled as the rightful god of heaven and earth for 3,300 years between 10,353 BC and 753 BC. Or what? The Ark of Day, the 21st ark after the creation of man. What does he do during the sixth era? This is what's important. He gives us the knowledge of astrology and science. Astrology and science come some 12,200 years ago. This is where it come from. I ain't asking you to believe it, but you don't have a better explanation. Let's get into some of this OWASP though. See, we got a whole book of Osiris. Let's show you what Big Bro was doing. This is from the book of Osiris, right? 12:1. Osir, through his what? His mathematicians. He got angels that are master mathematicians at his beck and call. He said, now they furnished the lords with maps of corporeal stars and the sun belt, which is called the what? The zodiac or the Ankh, right? The Ankh. So that thing that you see in Egypt that these niggas be wearing around their neck is a pointer that goes with maps and shows you how to read corporeal stars from the sun belt. They got it around their neck trying to be cute, right? Anciently, the word was spelled O-N-K. My bad. Hold on, let me scoot this over. Anciently, let me go down here. Right? The word Ankh is spelled O-N-K, Ankh, oh, dealing with all creation in the sky, right? Is also in Egypt spelled A-N-H-N-K, Ankh. Also, Ankh, O-N-K like this is in, and O-A-H-N-K is in India, right? This is the but if you come to America, this same understanding of Ankh or the Tao Sang or the movement of the sun and its earthly planet and its, its heavenly bodies along with it through the galaxy, right? Which is called the Great Serpent or the Tao Sang. Its understanding of that science is called Ankh, but in America, it's called Khan. So this is why you always see the snake eating its tail, right? That's a whole science, an understanding called Ankh, right? They wear it as a cute little neck thing, wear it around their wrist and, oh, hotep it up. They don't know what they got on their neck, right? They understand that it deals with life, power, energy, and yeah. But you don't know what it does. And you don't know why they always, if you look into some of the Egyptian art, they're always trying to feed the Ankh into the open mouth, or you dig what I'm saying? You see it hanging in there, holding it as a tool, because it's a science. It's a way of understanding the where and why you are in the galaxy, right? And by that, be able to understand the climate you are in and what's going on around you, and hence to, be able to stave off droughts and famines and plagues. And you dig what I'm saying? And dang, you think about it, man. The possibility for all that stuff to even happen on the planet, you dig what I'm talking about? As a creator, dog, you got to come on, and even this up a little bit, because you got to give me a way to at least get up out of this a little bit. We forgot that 12,200 years ago, Big Bro Osiris was bringing this knowledge. Look, through his mathematicians, he now furnished the lords with maps of corporeal stars in the sun belt, right, which is called the Ankh. And he bestowed what? Look, the names of animals upon them, right? And showed the same today. And he showed the what? The position of the moon and the sun and the earth in it. Right? He showed where, look, watch this. Let me back up out of this a little bit. Blow this up a little bit more. Right? Osiris, right? He showed the position of the moon and the sun and the earth in it, and showed where the what? The regions of the cows was, and the place of the bulls. Right? And the place of the bears. Remember that, the place of the bears. Right? Because when we go looking, go back to Tepe, do we see any bears? Uh-oh. Look at that. Short ears. That ain't a lion. That ain't no jaguar. It's a bear. Huh? And the place of the horses. And the place of the fishes. That was crazy. Because I started looking at this right here. Right? What is that? Is that a fish head? And the place of the scorpions. Huh? What else he said? And the place of the sheep and the place of the lions. Place of the lions. Huh? Huh. All right. The place of the crabs. The place of death. Sagittarius, right? I was looking for this. Place of life, which is today called Gemini. And the place of Capricornus. And what? Osiris marked the seasons and made 12 sections to the year, to which was the width of the sun belt. Watch this. All right. So we see the representations of the zodiac of the Ankh in the understanding built right into the walls of Göbekli Tepe. Another bear. Watch this. Right. Now, take notice of this, y'all. They say these is ducks. Right? I just want you to look at it. I ain't gonna say nothing for a minute. Man, if y'all getting a little something up out of this, man, hit your cousin with a vortex in the chat. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to all the family up in this thing. You dig what I'm talking about? Hit your boy with a vortex in the chat, man. Let's just keep this thing moving. Yeah, let's keep that thing moving. Now watch this. See these ducks in a row? Watch this. Now these ducks are carved in a low relief on Pillar 12 at Enclosure C in Göbekli Tepe, right? This is from 2012. Look at this. Right? And I found this interesting that when I was searching for the place of death, Sagittarius, see, remember up here in the book of Osiris, they had what? The place of death, also today known as Sagittarius, right? I couldn't readily just find it. You dig what I'm talking about? But it bothered me a little bit to the signs and symbols, right? Led me to remember that doesn't every man have to get your ducks in order before death? Look at it. And now I'm not saying this is definitive. I'm not telling you this is what it is. But I'm saying if I was looking for a place of death and the signs and symbols show me somebody with ducks getting in a row, right? And it's written in the low relief. The sign and symbol the sign and symbol hint back to, you know, every man must get his ducks in order before death. Hence, Sagittarius, the place of death. Or what they would also, many might even say, is Cygnus. But I thought that was interesting that the sign, get your ducks in order, is what every man must do before death. But the Ankh, right? They don't know what they're looking at. The Ankh is a star chart, right? That little cute thing that you lay on your neck, you know, and is a pointer. Y'all don't know what y'all doing. You don't got the other half. You don't know what to look at, what to do with it. So that's why you hang it around your neck, because you didn't know it was a knowledge, a tool to be used. Let your big cousin Cosmon listen. I may be younger than you. You did what I'm talking about, but don't let that stop you from learning from it. Because I'm bringing stuff that you didn't know. I told you this stuff could cause cognitive dissonance. If you have any type of, you feeling any type of way about what I'm telling you, and you never knew none of this, you are suffering from cognitive dissonance. I hate to tell you, sir. I hate to tell you and bust your bubble, ma'am. But the star chart, the Ankh, huh? See the sun, see the earth, okay? In its 360 view, this is what your Ankh lays on, right? And what? Let's keep going in the and he placed the sun in the center of the belt and made lines from there to the stars with explanations of the powers of the seasons on all the living. This is why you have the scale, why you have the bow. We have the same bulls today. We have the same fish. We have the same scorpions. They are 12,200 years old. Why? Because the knowledge being laid down. How is it even still here? Is because the knowledge that was laid down in that time has permeated the overall intelligence of man forever since that time. This is the first sciences on the world outside of the ions. If you wasn't in that mound builder stop, He was just hunter-gatherer. Right? But this is what your little unk around your neck actually explained. Right? And this is called or motion. Right? So this is the moon, right? And its motion. So this is the direction of the moon, or called gitun. This is, right? And notice the counterclockwise motion. You dig what I'm talking about? This is a representation of the sun. This is taken from the ancient Samoan of the Americas. This is pre-Algonquin. This is what the mound builders would have been writing with. This is what you see when you look in the ancient codexes. This is also what you see when you look at the oldest glyphs, petroglyphs, in cave drawings in the world. This is a representation of the sun and the motion of the sun, and it's called a gitau. So get the moon, gitau. Right? Gitau is the motion of the sun. Right? And this is vortexia, called vorkum. Right? And its representation. And what? And Osiris. And he gave the times of the creator. Remember, I just showed you the times? He start laying this down in 10,000 BC. He said, I gave you the times. Let's see if it match up with what we talking about. You know, we was talking about arcs, wasn't you, Cosmon, and all that. You think you smart and you be break. You dig what I'm saying? Let's just see if it match up, Cosmon. And he gave the times of the creator. The what? The 400 years of the ancients, right? And the half times of Dan. What's half of 400? 200. And the base of prophecy. Did your God teach you the base of prophecy? If not, why not? Right? What about the variations of 33 years? And the times of 11? Huh? But here's the key. And the 7.5 times of the what? The vortices of the stars. So that the seasons could be what? Foretold. This is called prophecy. And famines averted on the earth. Right? This is called prophecy. This is being able to foretell what's going on. So what? You got the 400 years of the ancients and the 7.5 times of the vortices, and that gives you an average. This is also why, Cosmon, the average length of an arc is 3,000 years. The average length of an arc is 3,000 years. 3,000 years. In between 36 and 24. That average is what? 3,000. Look, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. You dig what I'm talking about? So this is how we know when we get into this. Oh, we get in the knowledge straight from the great God Osir himself, because we was able to break it down and show you in real time. This is not a joke. This is not for play. This is all in here. We didn't make none of this up. We made none of this up. How we know about Gobekli Tepe? Nobody seen it for 12,000 years. We ain't making this up. Owaspy say, what? And place the sun in the center of the belt, and he made lines from there to the stars, and with explanations of the powers of the seasons on all the living. This is called a zodiac, astrology, cosmology. The very first comes 10,353 BC with the big bro. But this is why your average length of time, 400 years, and the 7.5 times of an arc cycle, or the vortice of the stars, how it moves from position to position, Dan to Dan, it averages what? A 3,000 year span of time. Hence, the arc cycles are 3,000 years on average. So, when the tablets, right? All this understanding, right? The whole cosmological understanding. When the tablets were completed and ready to be delivered to the Lord's Osir, look, Osir, they call him Osir. What was the place called? Port Osir. Osir, the great god. Thousands of years before there was an Egypt period. He said, take these and bestow these upon men, both through the oracles and by inspiration. Look, but this is key, making them sacred with the prophets, with the seers, with the priests, and their kings and queens. Right? So didn't everybody just know this? But the people who needed to know actually knew, and they held them sacred. But look at this. Look in 25 in the next verse. And he said, look what Osiris tells them to do. And you shall inspire them to build temples. Ain't that clear? Mind you, we in the years between 10,353 BC and 7,053 BC. So if 9,600 years ago is between 10,000 and 7,000, hit your boy with a 1 in the chat if you know that. He says in between that time, in between 10,000 and 7,000, inspire them to build temples and of observation. And we find the very first and oldest in Göbekli Tepe, named after a god named Osiris, who existed before the false god of Osiris even existed 7,000 years before. We find the oldest temple named after him. Now, the crazy part about this is Owaspy revealed this information in 1881, written in a book publicized in 1882. Science didn't even catch on to 1994 that Göbekli Tepe had even existed. They didn't know. But Owaspy knew because he told them to build the burst temples of observation. To do what? To study the stars. And this is why many of the great minds are they still arguing about it, but they're coming over to the side that is obviously was used to observe the stars, right? But Owaspy says it also teaches by the Gao. The Gao is what we know as today as the plumb bob. All right, hold on one second. And you shall inspire them to build temples. Right? Let me see. Let me see what we got going on. Got some ones in here. We ain't got no ones in here. Don't nobody know that. Don't nobody know that 9,600 years is in between 10,000 and 7,000? If you know that, hit me with a 1 in the chat. If you know 9,600 years is in between 10,000 and 7,000, hit me with a 1 in the chat. You dig what I'm talking about? Somebody catching on. Somebody got it. Shout out to Richard Neal Bay. You dig what I'm talking about? You dig what I'm talking about? My brother Richard Neal Bay, quick on the draw. You dig what I'm talking about? And it says, now this is Göbekli Tepe, right? You shall be teaching by the Tao and by the travel of the sun, north and south, right? Traveling by the sun, north and south. This is the pattern. Look at this. Take this in, y'all. This is the pattern that the sun makes in 1 year. A man stayed he came out every morning and took a picture at the same time every morning for a year, right? Laid the pictures over top of each other, and this is the pattern he got for the sun moving north and south, right? But don't believe Cosmon. Here's the source called Understanding Astronomy by Dr. Daniel V. Schroeder from the Department of Physics at Weber State University, right? Now I want y'all to see this. See this blue line? And y'all see the celestial stars, the cosmology, right? Laid out in the sky, just like we see here. It's not a mistake. This is on purpose, right? Because he's teaching you about what's really going on in the sky. If you wrap that into a circle, this would be this. And look at all the information in here that it has, that this one is actually missing. Now, in this 360-degree map, now this is from Understanding Astronomy from Weber University, Dr. Daniel V. Schroeder. In this 360-degree map, right, of the entire celestial sphere, right, the north celestial pole is stretched across the top of the edge of stretched across the top edge in the south celestial pole across the bottom of the edge. See north, south. Y'all following me? The celestial equator, right, is marked in blue. This is the celestial equator, marked in blue. These are your constellations, right? The celestial equator is marked in blue, and the 12 constellations of the zodiac are outlined. We see them, right? Boom. The ecliptic, shown in yellow, right, marks the sun annual path among the stars, right? So this way. How do we know? How you know it's not this way, Cosmo? Because remember, we got So remember or the getum, or the motion of a movement of our galaxy says counterclockwise, right? So we know we're starting over here. What's this? It's Pisces. We know we in Pisces in the beginning of the year in March. Watch this. The ecliptic shown in yellow marks the sun's annual path among the stars, right? We see that. Now at March, right, at March. The equinox, the sun, at the March equinox, the sun is at the far right in Pisces. The sun is at the far right in Pisces in March, right? So we in the northern part in the beginning of the year, and watch this. So we're in the northern far part at right in Pisces, and the sun drifts leftwards or counterclockwise. Remember we showed the Gitao with the motion of our sun, right? They knew this 12,200 years ago. But science just figuring this out, we see. The sun drifts leftward by about 1 degree per day, moving first into the what? In the northern half of the sky. And then after the September equinox, into the southern half. So yes, this OWASP is being proven correct again, that the sun travels north and south. They didn't figure this out till the 20th century. Huh? They didn't even figure this out till the 20th century. You dig what I'm talking about? And by what? The Sinest, or the North Star. And by dark chambers, so that they can prove the Fictus of Hall. The Fictus of Hall. What you talk about, Cosmo? That's a weird name. And Sinest. Why are they? That is another name of the Northern Star. Interesting. But see, you may not know this name as the Fictus of Hall, but commonly we call this today the precession of the equinoxes. Let's go prove OWASP right again. Right? Wow, what happened? What's going on? Some ain't it's not pulling my. Give me 1 second, y'all. It's not pulling my screen up right for something. Hold on. Let me go back. Wow. This is. Hold on. Let me see if I can. This is weird. Some of my but you know, one monkey don't stop no show. Let me show you what it is. Let me just show y'all what it is. This is the precession of the equinox. Right? Also known as the Fictus of Hall. Right? Let me make sure everybody can see that. That's crazy. It because it had way more pages than that, and it just erased the information. That's nuts. But let's get into the precession of the equinox. Right? This is the precession of the equinox, the Fictus of Hall, right? Which we will show. Let's just go to OWASP. Hold on. Let's go to OWASP. We don't hide nothing. We're going to work it out, right? Watch this. 12 and 5. And you shall inspire them to build temples of observation to study the stars, teaching by the Gowl and by the travel of the sun, north and south, and by the North Star, and by dark chambers and the Fictus of Hall. We see this 488. Fictus of Hall refers to what? 24,000 years periods, as will be seen in another place when great changes take place on the earth. What happened 24,000 years ago? The Great Flood. It also what refers again to the average position of the North Star. So let's get back to the precession of the equinoxes. The precession of the equinoxes, or motion of the equinoxes along the elliptic or the plane of the Earth orbits, is caused by cyclic precession of the Earth's axis of rotation. Right? Now look at this. In compiling this famous star catalog, completed in 129 BC, remember we talking about a time of 10,353 BC, 10,353 BC. But we see the information even down here with Hipparchus, right, being disseminated some 10,000 years later, right? It is imparted upon man. So the Greek astronomer Hipparchus noticed that the position of the stars were shifted in a systematic way from the earlier Babylonian Chaldean measures. And this indicated that it was not the stars that were moving, but rather the observing platform or the earth that was moving. I know my flat earthers is losing their shit right now, but y'all gonna have to deal with this. We just can't just be dealing with feelings all day and how you feel, and you know what I mean? Because we've already proved the Fictus of Hall, or such motion is called what? Precession, and consists of a what? A cyclic wobbling in the orientation of the Earth's axis in rotation with a period of what? 25,772 years. The precession was the third discovered motion of the Earth, and Cosmon is going to bring you another one, a fourth motion of the Earth that y'all going to have to deal with now, called oscillation. Oscillation is the fourth movement of the Earth. Huh? But let's go and prove Owaspy right some more. He's saying that you can prove by the average of the what? The North Star. Right? Go back to Owaspy. It said it also refers to the average position of the North Star. Right? So let's go here real quick. Let's go back. Watch this. It's in the same place all the time. In the northern hemisphere, finding the Polaris means you know the direction north. Even when the full moon obscures the sky, the North Star is relatively easy to see. What y'all don't know and what you're going to find out is why the North Star is so important is the North Star, right? The North Star is our sun's sun. Our sun, or this great serpent, this Tao Sang, remember the Ankh, the Grand Khan, the travel of the sun and its planets in its orbit. Remember, it moves north and south, and the planets move with it. Well, it moves in a great motion called a serpent, or the great Tao Sang, the great serpent, the Grand Khan. And that motion of our sun going around its sun takes roughly 4.7 million years. Right? This is how you're able to tell time in Owaspy. And then I could do it with the sun at 4.8 and do it with the moon at 4.7. You did what I'm talking about. There ain't really no stopping in this. All right. And then I'm gonna blow your mind, even take you a little further. Sinest, or hold on, our pole star, right? Also called Polaris, right? Hold on. Let me go up here a little bit. The North Star, also called Polaris or Sinest in Owaspy, is in the constellation of Ursa Minor. The star type is a F-class supergiant. So that means that it is 4.5 times the mass of the sun. Can you imagine? Our sun is spinning around a much massive sun, right? But that sun, Ursa Minor, aka Polaris, aka Sinest, the North Star, is moving around the galactic center also. And that is called, right? Now, hold on, we're going to get into that. We're going to look. Its luminosity is 2,500 times brighter than the sun, right? Its temperature is over 7,500 Celsius, and it's 430 light years from the Earth, right? It's also called Polaris A, Alpha Ursa Minoris, the Pole Star, the North Star, Tau. It's also called Heracleon. It's had many names over the years, and it's right here, Polaris in Ursa Minor, or what we call the Little Dipper. That's our sun's sun, right? And it takes a trip around the galactic center, right? And Owaspy so on point with it. Owaspy say it take 239,618 years to complete one trip around the galactic center. Let's see what science say. Watch this. Watch this. Right. Now, orbiting the Milky Way. Y'all see that? Y'all see that grand vortex? We way out here in one of these arms, right? Our little sun way out here, spinning around this thing, right? With a grand sun in the mid, with a great sun in the middle. But see these lesser suns? One of these is ours. Actually, one of these is Polaris. Let's just say this one is Polaris, and we out here spinning outside of Polaris. But as we spin it, right? As we spin it around as the moon spin around us, we spin around the sun. The sun is spinning around its sun, which is spinning around the galactic center. Owaspy reveals it takes 239,618,000 years to complete one grand galactic year, or what is called a circuit, right? Let's see what science say, right? Humans are used to keeping time by measuring Earth's movement relative to the sun. But while Earth's trips around its star are noteworthy to life on our pale blue dot, that journey is pretty insignificant when compared to the epic voyage that carries the sun and our entire solar system, y'all, around the center of the Milky Way. Cosmon don't make this up. The only way you would know this, right? And the crazy part is the only way to drop this type of information in 1882, you had to be there. You had to be the nigga who set this in motion and put it all down in time and knew exactly that it was 239,618 years to complete one trip. Only a person who knew who was there would know this information. Watch this. Science ain't doing nothing but trying to prove Owaspy. That's all it do. Orbiting the Milky Way galaxy just once takes the sun approximately what? 220 to 230 million Earth years, according to Keith Hawkins, an assistant professor of astronomy at the University of Austin. So let's just say it take 230 million years. Owaspy say it take 9 million more 618 years. Exactly. If you didn't know that, if you didn't know that it took 230 million years around the to get around the galactic center, you dig what I'm talking about? Hit your boy with a hit me with a 2 in the chat. If you didn't know that, hit me with a 2. If you did know that, hit me with a 3. If you did know that, hit me with a 3. Right? And Owaspy also explains these 24,000 year periods, right? Or 8 arc cycles are called gadolls. I'll show you how they work, right? 1 second. In other words, if we were to measure time by this galactic clock, Earth would be about 16 years old. That's a lie also. In galactic or cosmic years, the sun would have formed about 20 years ago. That's wrong. Because our Earth, right, has been through we are in the 23rd great spin. We are currently in the 23rd one. Right? Putting Earth over 5.5 billion years old by herself, let alone the galaxy. Over a billion years, over almost 1.1 billion years older than what science says Earth actually is. See, with 239 million, right, as the starting number for the age of the Earth, right, to get up to 3.5 to 4.5 billion years is only in between 15 to 18 revolutions. 18 revolutions, that's your 4.3, 4.5, 4.4 billion right there. In 18 revolutions. We already through 5 more of them. We in the 23rd. This is why Owaspy is dope, and this is why they try to tell you not to come check it out, not to listen to it. You dig what I'm talking about? Let me get back into this real quick. All right, 1 second. This part is dope right here, because now you're gonna know why they in Turkey. Right? Watch this. Jehovah said, this is the creator speaking to To further man's ultimate glory, I have decreed earth to a Jaian field for 3,000 years, in which your fruit shall have its full growth. He talking to Osiris. Now, so he told him for 3,000 years, you're going to be able to lay this law down. All science, right? You're going to be able to lay this down. Right? So Osir foresaw, look, Osir foresaw the times and places in the future road of the earth and heaven. Yeah, he talking about prophecy. Your God don't teach you how to prophesy? Ours do. Creator does. Better get you an OWASP. We got a whole book on cosmogony and prophecy. As a matter of fact, to say prophecy mean you already know cosmogony. To say cosmogony mean you already know how to prophesy. This is why we already knew COVID was coming. Right? Because we can what? Foresee the times and places. This ain't no trick. All prophecy is ruled by absolute rules. And that from his decrees would spring corporeal philosophy, or what we call science. And look, the first of the earth to which man would look back in future ages, saying, from there sprang the Osirian system, cosmogony, cosmology, the science of the stars, astrology. From there sprang the Osirian system. From there, the what? The Assyrian races, or what? The sound is substituted for O. See? Assyrian, Assyrian races. Right? The is substituted for O, makes a word earthly that was heavenly. Assyrian and Assyrian and Assyrian and Assyrian are synonymous terms. Right? So it really has to do with a knowledge base, not even necessarily the people, but we know where they went and built. Yet he looked further on, and when man would become idolaters in disbelief of spiritual things, doing worship to the sun, to the moon, and to the stars, which the false Osiris did. And he seen in every corpore profess to find the cause of the foundation of all. Man shall search all things in order to find me, says the Creator. But I gave this labor to not one generation of man, nor to those of 100 or 1,000 years, but to cycles. For when I come in Cosmon, remember that 25th arc cycle we was talking about? Huh? For when I come in Cosmon, hold on. Right here. 25th arc cycle, the arc of Cosmon. When I come in Cosmon, beginning in 1848, for when I come in Cosmon to found my kingdom on earth, man shall have the testimony of all speculations and philosophies before him, together with their fruits, and he shall judge that which is good by the evidence of the past practices. Right? Hold on. Right. Hold on. Let me get right here. Let's go back. When it was talking about They showed him the region of the cows, the place of the bulls, the place of the bears, the place of the horses, the place of the fishes, the place of the scorpions, the place of the sheep, the place of the lions, the place of the crabs, the place of death, place of life, Gemini, the place of Capricornus, and marked the seasons and made 12 sections to the year, which was the width of the sun belt, right? It says here, the terms cows and horses, or mares and bulls in the Vedic scriptures do not refer to animals themselves, just like in America, but to groups of stars with reference to their power on the male and female, or rather, positive and negative forces. In some of the astrological maps in Upper Tibet, the star groups are still set with the animal outlines. So are ours today in America. And this is the connection between Göbekli Tepe and Osiris, because he was the first to bring astrology and science to the world. And look what it says here. Osiris, the true Osiris, right? The false guy, him mama name in Egypt, him name is Chilemon. We're going to show that in a second. But true Osiris, the son of the creator. Let's go. Hold on. We're going to read this. The son of the creator, Osiris, was sent to the earth to develop the corporeal brains in man, or aka mind, the corporeal knowledge or corporeal judgment of man on earth. So he gave us science. And listen, and he will stand to the end of time as the God of natural philosophy, or what we call science. Osiris was sent to the earth to develop man's mind. And he will stand to the end of time as the God of science, as that term is understood. The names of many of the stars and most of the signs of the zodiac are today as they were given by this god Osiris more than 10,000 years ago. And if you don't believe it, look at your zodiac. I ain't making none of this up. Hold on. Let's go down here real quick, get to the bottom of this. Book of Osiris. Let's go to chapter 1. All right, right here. Let's find out who Big Bro is. Right, show you that who this guy is and who they got. The guy that they call in Egypt is two different people, and that the guy in Egypt is taking the name of the true Osar and usurping it for his own greedy, selfish needs. And this is why Egypt fell, because its God was fake. But look, let's see where true Osir is from, right? This is the book of Osiris, the son of the creator, right there. That tells you that's a difference from who the Osiris of Egypt is, right? He said he was, Osiris Egypt said he was doing the creating. He created man and all that stuff. No, but let's see who this is. This is the god of Lautzen, which is an Ethereal world in the arc of seeing, known in the high heavens as Osir, the son of the creator, right? But let's look at some of this. Hold on. Let me see if I can go back to the beginning and punch in Chick play ooh. Hold on. $25, $8. Let me go down here. $25. Okay. There we go. Right here. Watch this. Y'all want to see some mess? Here go your Osiris, and this is how he got the title. Right? Watch this. Watch this. Let's go down here. Now, the God that we commonly know today as Anu, of Sumer, right, was putting together his unholy Ennead or his 12, right? And he's putting his crew together. And the lead guy is going to take a title, right? The lead guy of his conglomerate of gods, right? The four are going to be named Tien, Subga, Osiris, and Anu Hasaj or Anu. These four are your Elohims and write all religious biblical texts or the very first ones. Right? Now, he is the lead angel who works under Anu is called Land God. Right? That title in the ancient Egyptian tongue is Osiris or Osir. He is the land god. That's how you say it. If you went in Sumer and said the same thing, his name would be Anki, land god. But let's see what him mama named him. Not what they didn't, not what the folks didn't told you, but you can find for yourself. My Lord God and my lords, these our heavens are good enough if improved. The earth is good enough if improved. These are false gods speaking. We want larger kingdoms and more darn thrones in our heavens and on the earth. And next spoke who? Chilemon, right? And whose heavenly kingdom was over Arabia or the Middle East and Africa. He said, my Lord has spoken soul words with knowledge obtained. What more do angels or mortals need? What value is it to them to say, beware, the unseen hears and sees, or stop and consider the divine laws? My Lord, for the wisest, best, and most honest to assume dominion, this I have not seen. Right? This is them complaining and figuring out or justifying why they about to overthrow their duties and go do their own thing. Right? So this is your boy. Remember, his name is Chilemon. Right? He throwing his hat in for the false god of Sumer named Anu Hasaj or Anu. Right? This is who he talking to, my Lord God. For the wisest, best, and most honest to assume dominion, this I have never seen. your kingdom should be the largest and most adorned of all kingdoms. So now this nigga, notice this guy, Chile Mong, is praying to a guy who he is calling Lord and God. Right? I want y'all to see that. Chile Mong is telling Anu Hassaj that his kingdom should be the largest and most adorned of all kingdoms. And you, Anu, should have to labor with you, lords, and with kingdoms greater than all of Creoshabai, or true God's heaven. Can our gods and our lords not make these heavens the greatest of all regions in the universe? Shall we and our people continually run off to Etheria? Uh-oh, they even know. In search of higher heavens? You knew there were higher heavens and you did this? And not improve our own, to exalt a place by going away from it? Has this been done? Now notice, this is Chile Mong. Right? Now let's go down some more. And guess who else is here? Just so you know, after Chile Mong and after Wochisa spoke, look who right in there with him too. After him spoke Baal, whose heavenly kingdom was over Hellas, or with the Hellenic dynasties, and to the south end of China or Russia, right? To the sea, a young lord of great promise. He said, so, and then after him who spoke, guess who else in the room? Guess who else there? Right? Then rose Ashtaroth, who is what? Assistant to Baal. So this is why every time you see Baal, you see Anet. This is why when you see Baal, you see Astarte. This is why when you see Heru, you see Isis. You ain't know what you was looking at. These are all in the same room. Now, hold on. I think it's in chapter 9. Because I want y'all to see. I want y'all to see who Chilimong becomes. Right. Hold on. Whoa. I got to show you the plot. I got to show you why Chilimong is called Osiris. Right? Hold on. And I'm going to show you who told Anu to call his lead man on the earth Osiris. Watch this. Hold on. Let me go back. Let me go up in here real quick. Well, let me see if I can find it. Because it is Satan himself, or your lower self, itself, that came to Anu Hassaj to tell him that his exalted God, right, or Lord on the earth would have the title of Osiris. I'll find it in a second, but I don't want to just keep this going too long. So I'm going to get down here to where Anu-Hassaj takes the throne and he gives his rulership out, right? Now, this is chapter 11, right? Remember in the Bible, right? They got, now if y'all heard of this before, oh, hold on, wait a minute. Let me show y'all. Hold on, I'm not showing the right thing. This is what I want to show y'all right here. Right? This is of the deity, right? So we know this is a one-time living, breathing man that has been deified, who is also called Dias or Theos, right? Or Theos, God. And this is the origin and power in the heavens and on earth of that name being taken upon. And look, Anu-Hassaj, this is Anu of Sumer, the false god, said, I, the Lord your God, being the all highest, which is false, through your choice, look, decree for your sake of harmony and concert in our labors to establishment of a what? A Theos, a Congress. As the Creotians or true gods, homies, have a diva, a divinity, a heavenly council, so will I have a what? A Deus. And by virtue of my own authority, look, he making it up, I proclaim you, my lords and lordesses, as its holy members. Right? So this is what we're going to do. And he's about to give them their titles. Right? And the ruler of Jehovah, true heaven, shall continue in his own place and kingdom, for it is his. And the ruler of Better Pishnaha, with called Ahura, shall continue in his own place and kingdom, for it is his. But look, these are the angels he taken to himself to start off his Indian, right? His group. This is 3753 BC, right? During the arc of speech, the 23rd arc cycle, in between 3953 BC and 1553 BC, in 3753 BC. Now look, first, I take then to myself Anubis, right? The Lord loved by you all, and he shall be my associate, and he shall have the title, what? The master of the scales of heaven. Did y'all know that Anubis also worked for Anu of Sumer? Well, it'll make sense when I tell you that the master of the air of the scales in Sumer was named Enlil, the son of Anu, right? The son of Anu and the master of the scales of heaven was Enlil. But we see him also, this name Anubis, get injected later in Egypt. Now, mind you, this is 3750. We still 700 years before there is an Egypt. Ain't no pre-dynastic Egypt, at least for 600 years. And yet we already got Anuba, aka Anubis, the Lord of, and he is the what? The master of the scales, for he shall determine the grades of the spirits and send them to their respective departments. On earth, his title shall be Savior, man, son of Dios, or God, right? And Enlil was the master of the air, the master of the heavens on earth. So in being the master of the heaven, aka Anuba, we see the same title being applied in Sumer to the son of Anu, or aka Enlil. Now, second, to you, Hikas, shall be ruler over Japheth, or China and Russia, in its heavenly kingdom, and your title shall be Tien, and of the first rank of God of the earth. And you, Woschisa, shall be ruler over India and her heavenly kingdoms, and your title shall be Sugga. Or what does Sugga mean in India? It means Apollo. And the first rank of God of the earth. And fourth, you who? Remember Chile Mong, right? The nigga was praying, kissing that. Man, should nobody have bigger. Should nobody have that? Don't nobody say that near another like you, Anu Hassan. Don't nobody say that near another like you, Anu. Nobody should have. This should be bigger than yours, Anu. Fourth, you who Chile Mung. Don't that sound like an Asian name? Watch this. Chile Mung shall be ruler over what? The Middle East and Africa, where he already is. Remember, Chile Mung already run Middle East and Africa and her heavenly kingdom, and your title shall be Osiris. This is where your fake nigga come in at. 6,000 years too late, buddy. And look. And of the first rank of God of the earth, but look. And fifth, you, Baal, shall be ruler over Hellas and her heavenly kingdom, and your title shall be Baal of the first rank God. And six, you, Ashtaroth, shall rule over Persia and her heavenly kingdom, and your title shall be Ashtaroth, first rank goddess of the earth. Right? And the word Parsi and the country Persia and the tribe Parsi and in Vedic Parsu are all confined in the same region of the country. Now, what y'all don't know is Baal and Ashtaroth are both underlings to Chile Mung, aka Osiris. This is your Set and your Horus. Right? Well, actually, Chile Mung represented himself as Horus, but Baal usurps the name later on, right? And this is your Aset, Astarte, your Hathor. This is your Pollyanna. This is your Hera. This is your Inanna. All Ashtaroth. She's also Mot. She's Annette. She Aphrodite. Ooh. Ashtaroth. And they all work for the fake Osiris named Chile Mung. Backdrop. Look, I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link in the chat, man. Anybody, let me see. How do you hold on? Anybody want to come in? Holler at your cousin, them. I ain't gonna be on too long. But if you want to kick it, man, come on in, man. Come holler at your folks, man. Damn, we did damn near 3 hours real fast. You dig what I'm talking about? If you got a little something up out of this, man, if you know now for a fact that the Osiris of Egypt and the Osiris that built Göbekli Tepe some 7,000 years before Egypt existed, if you know that they different, hit me with a 5 in the chat. Hit me with a 5 in the chat. If you know that the Osiris of Egypt and the Osiris that of 7,000 years before who built Göbekli Tepe, aka the second hill of Osiris, aka Port Osar, or the umbilical cord of Osiris, circa 9,600 BC. If you know that now, that they two different guys, hit me with a 5 in the chat. If you know now that in 1882, Owaspi revealed that these temples would be built during this time. If you see that, if you've seen that, I proved that. Right? Hit me with a 7 in the chat. Hit your boy with a 7. Okay, somebody getting it. Dig what I'm talking about? Well, shit, I dropped the link again. Anybody want to come in, man? Want to build on it? Want to talk about it? Whatever. You dig what I'm saying? We'll let me take this down. Let me stop sharing. Y'all come on in, holla at your cousin there, man. Shout out to everybody in the house. Shout out to Sister Ray, David Long in the house, Yafa in the house. You dig what I'm saying? Intuitive Goat. The goat is in the house. You dig what I'm talking about? So is it possible when the sun crosses, it counts as not setting? What do you mean? What do you mean, Subdar? Hit the link, bro. Is it possible when the sun crosses, it counts as not setting? Well, the sun rises north and south, and it's so massive. You dig what I'm talking about? It's so massive that it seems to set. You dig what I'm talking about? It seems to set. Right, but it is out there all the time doing what it's doing, and while we are in the nighttime on the whole other total side of the planet, it is throwing or producing light. You dig what I'm talking about? So while it may set to us on the other side of the planet, it's not. If that's what you mean. Light and darkness are happening at the same time, all the time. Shout out Sub Dark. We got up in here. Daryl Cosmon up in here. Richard Neal Bay up in here. Just Me up in here. Blossoming Goddess. Peace to you, sister. Thank you for coming through. Blossoming Goddess. I am Mana. Shout out to the sister. You did what I'm talking about. What else we got up in here? Fritz Foxwell in the house. Fritz Foxwell in the house. Usar Province 9 in the house. Man, peace to y'all brothers, man. Thank y'all for coming through, family. Peace to y'all brothers coming on through, man. Fritz Foxwell. You dig what I'm talking about? Thank you, y'all, coming through. Bronze, yo. You dig what I'm talking about? Shalom, family, to the viewers listening. Check what it was just Salih bin Ya. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to you. Straight Smizzy in the house. My dog, Straight Smizzy. Got to get my dog Straight Smoke on here, man. My Ima's always been better than your Ima. Shana Yael Bataya. You dig what I'm talking about? Yeah. You dig what I'm talking about? Shout out to the GOAT. Shout out to the GOAT. Stephanie Randall in the house. Ahuba Lifestyle, you know she ain't watching. She sleep. You can see this in the morning on the replay. Shout out to you. Jaway is in the house. You dig what I'm talking about? King Judah is in the house. That's what it do. That's what it do. Chief Crazy Overstanding. Say salute to you, brother. Dig what I'm talking about? Dreadful in this thing. Bishop X in this thing. FGK all day. That's right. Dig what I'm talking about? Young Dominique up in this thing. You dig what I'm saying? Hey, Elijah 7 is up in here. You dig what I'm saying? My Ima has always still been better than your Ima. Mahalia Naturals. You dig what I'm talking about? Create a gang. False God killers. Love, light, and balance to the beloved. That's right. You dig what I'm saying? Nobody want to come in? I think I'm going to change the name of this to the Observatories of the Gods. So I'm going to go ahead and try to get on that real quick. Change that up. And You dig what I'm saying? I hope y'all learned a little something up out of this, man. As always, man, it's your hostess with the mostest, burning like toast is, man. Cosmoni, and right back at it like I left something. And as always, I need you to breathe in, let the light in. Because I'm Cosmon, and I'm out.
And oh yeah, put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh, that Japheth, that Chow Mein, that Papa Bull, that Tao Mein, since sunset in the arc of Wayne, my brain moving like Tao Sang, so as above, it's so below, that up and that down thing, this flow is atmospheric, I call that a ground game, see water is knowledge, so if I'm teaching, you're learning, so how your God make a sun without vortexing and current, see the pattern is ponic, I'm reaching out for my people, oh watch me flow through your speakers, you feel the force of the ether, and when the force gets the equal, I'm taking off like an eagle. Police popped the pastor yesterday for pushing put equal. My DNA is Moshe. Mix that thing with higher water. My spirit rate is OTN. It's just a higher order. Got more light than Kavita. Rap a lot just like Tila. Went from sinner to saint. Shout out my big homie Sela. Got more torque than a sports car. Got more work than a door star. And the 4 million I make, I'm giving the Dr. Umar. Oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you feel it up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Super 7 in my rites and ceremonies. I'm married to Jehovah, holy matrimony. Confucius say, in the words of Caillou, before you hit the tomb, be a bridegroom. Only got one question for Miss Susan B. On how to last Ahuin is now a Angui. Blame my inspiration, I'm just thinking thoughts. But in the way of God's, we gon' keep it short. Why Jesus wanna kill me, Matthew 10:34. Just a couple questions that I'm needing to know. Oh, watch me flow, it's so potent. Set the vortex in motion. Super 7, I'm floating across the Aegean Ocean. Oh, you a Muslim now, so I guess you making salat. Well, I'm a Israelite, I'ma make him at the Shabbat. Got Moses on the bumper, super slap off in my spaceship photosphere. So I stay lit, peace and light to the faith is so yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're feeling up there. When you in the sky breathing rarefied air. When you're breathing rarefied air, oh yeah. Put that Super 7 in the air. Tell me how you feeling when you're